結束啦。
而家咁樣咧，
OK，
我瞄晒所有，跟住交個咪俾你啊。咦，我開唔阿 Wendy，我開唔翻你個咪啊！你自己嗰邊開翻個咪。
OK。
OK，出街。
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the openBIM 101 training section, organized by the Hong Kong BIMer to help BIMers transiting from BIM to openBIM. This covers the basics of openBIM, including history, benefits, and challenges of openBIM, standards and libraries, certifications, and case studies. Hong Kong BIMer will continue to organize a series of training classes on different topics. Please be invited to register to enjoy the learning and knowledge sharing activity. May we now invite President of Hong Kong BIMer, Architect Ada Fung, to deliver a welcome address. Ada, please.
Ada 唔該要開翻個咪，同埋 share 個 PowerPoint。應該喺中間有個咪仔。Ada 未得，Ada 未得。因為交咗個時間俾阿 David 先啦，交咗俾 David 先。
OK。
Maybe we have the welcome address by Ada in a later stage. So let's welcome our trainer of today, David Fung, first. David, please.
Good evening, all the BIMers in Hong Kong. Welcome to the seminar today. And my topic here today is on the openBIM 101. Just a few words about myself. I'm an architect, practicing architect in Hong Kong. And I've been using BIM as my tool in my practice for over 22 years. So now. So today I have the opportunity to share with you some of my understanding on how BIM has been used in Hong Kong and the way forward. And since we have a new movement, as the topic suggests, it is from BIM to openBIM. Today, the topic is one of the 4 series introducing the concept of openBIM in Hong Kong. And I'm pretty sure some of you have already got the advertisement on the series and the time. So today is the first talk of the series, which is on the 101 on the BIM. Now, since we have slightly over 1 hour of time introducing this concept, and the series will not be getting very technical. As a matter of fact, when we actually dive ourselves into this openBIM, we can be very technical and has a very large amount of information that we need to grasp. Now, as of the first series, it will be only it's called the 101. So from the very much basic understanding how the openBIM concept is working, and there will be some of you may find it. There are quite a number of jargons associated with this series, but be assured that it's okay because there will be a lot of opportunity that we can come back to this concept later on, and there will be a lot of examples to illustrate all this. By all means, now since we are on a online service right now, and I do not have the opportunity to actually to have the immediate feedback from you. And I have colleagues, they will collecting your views from the chat board. So by all means, if you have any questions, just write down on the chat board, and I will try to answer it at the end of the presentation. All right. So let's start today's talk. Now, just a very rough ideas on the BIM development. All right. Now, when we talk about BIM, it's no longer new work. I have been teaching BIM for more than 15 years in Hong Kong. Now, every time when I have a session, I used to ask the students, what's BIM? Do you know how BIM should work? And I ask for the comment. Now, I find that there's no longer this need for the recent years, because of us know that the BIM has been mandatory in Hong Kong practice. Now the government has asked for it, and the semi-quasi organization are requesting when we do project in BIM. Now, so the adoption of BIM is no longer an issue in Hong Kong. So we have a long BIM history in Hong Kong and actually worldwide. Now, it's more than 30 years for sure. Now, when we look at the application of BIM development in Hong Kong in here, so in the early days, we thought that, okay, BIM is a 3D working environment, so that we learn how to use particular software to build up the BIM model, and so we end up with a 3D BIM model there. Now, recently, especially subsequent to the release of the technical circular from the Development Bureau, very much put on the production from the BIM model. Now, not only as a BIM model that has been produced, but also all the drawing production coming from the BIM model. Now, that implies that all the professional deliverables like the legal submissions, and also contractual tender drawings and shop drawings and spill drawings. Now, these kind of drawing production is supposed to be coming from BIM. Now, this is a big move from just having a model from now have a deliverable, which is legally and contractually binding. Now, but this is not the end of BIM. We still have a further way to go forward. What we haven't achieved yet, for example, the submission, we still based on paper. It's not yet paperless submission. Authorities are not just judge on a submission based on the BIM model. We still need to put everything on the paper. Now, further down the track, we will have automations. Instead of we as a human being doing every bit and pieces by using BIM software, BIM environment, would there be any way that we can streamline the process by automating it? And even more, with the emergence of artificial intelligence, whether we can combine the human effort and also the machine effort so that we have a better result. I also talk about this AI application in other event. Now, if we look at it from a reality point of view, so we do have the reality. We are living in the 3D world, a real world. Now, in terms of BIM technology, we are now having the ability to capture the reality. So by means of laser scanning, by means of photogrammetry, we record and have all the real lifetime information put into the virtual world. So That's a BIM model that hold all this live information. However, we don't stay just on the virtual world. Then we have to get the information, pass the information from the virtual world and back into reality. That means we really need to build the bridge, the housing, and also all the assets. So it is a process from the reality to virtuality, now back to the reality. This is what we know. This is what we have experienced so far. However, with all these processes that we know, we encounter a lot of issues. Okay, I'm sure I list out here is only part of the issues that we will find it throughout this journey. So we find that there are many standards: ISO standard, the national standard, China standard, Hong Kong standard, CIC standard, and organization standard, meaning your company. We have the MDRC standard, we have airport authority standards, even to a project level. So each project may have its own standard. So we have all these standards to conform to. And there are also quite a number of specific purposes. So whether we use BIM for a design offering, just for the design purpose, or would it be used for the government submission, whether it be the tender, the QTO, the 4D, medical use, for landscaping. Now, all these specific uses, they have a certain purpose. They have their own deliverable. So that we were working not only on the model itself, but we get it from the model and then to extract the information to fulfill the whatever purposes that you're supposed to fulfill. And also, I'm sure you heard a lot of names on the platform, whether it's Revit, ArchiCAD, Tekla, EcoSim, and among others. So a lot of these platforms, and even more. You heard about other platform collaboration tools. Project management system, the common data environment, the document management system, construction quality management system, FM, building management. A lot of these jargon, a lot of these names, right? I'm sure as we know a lot more and more about BIM, then there comes more and more of these names. Now, as a result, we find that okay, we got a big problem here. Each software is doing a bit of the BIM task. Okay, we have many software, many platforms. But however, the software do not talk to each other. So Revit doesn't talk to 3D Max, Civil 3D, and Tekla does not talk to EcoSim. Well, we experienced that. Well, someone may say that, okay, how about we do some sort of conversion, data conversion from one platform to another platform. Well, then of course, some of them is really impossible to convert. Even we can find a way to convert, there may be some sort of data loss during the conversion. All right, so we are not very comfortable by changing from one platform, convert into a mutual platform, and then convert back into another platform. So this is all we experience. Some of you may have bitter experience on this. Now, also you have come across the term called backward compatibility, meaning that okay, I'm working with a version, say for example, Revit, I'm using a 202 version here, and when you press the button save, you save this 202 version, but there isn't a capability of backward saving. You cannot save a 201A. Now that immediately present a situation that you as a project team member, if just one of you upgrade your platform to another version, then that means the whole team has to upgrade to the same version. Otherwise, you cannot communicate. And then when we talk about a project, it consists of many different disciplines, right? All the different disciplines have their own agenda. They have their own professional practice. You find it very hard to talk to each other. That will come up to the information flow being very much interrupted. Now, since the backward compatibility doesn't exist, so you'll be facing quite a number of issues, very strange issues. Do you upgrade the software every year? What about when you finish a project? If the project is finished, do you still upgrade as the software version keep on upgrading? Well, if you do, so who is going to maintain it? how many staff you need to employ to do this upgrading? Are you going to do it every year, or are you going to do it every 2 years, 5 years, or what? All these that involve the maintenance cost. Now, the worst of all, there's a technical term called digital dark age. All right, so meaning that if you have a project done in a certain year of version, and the project is finished, okay, you stay the project as that version. How about 10 years later? 10 years later, the technology has to move on. So we may no longer be able to actually to read back that file. Still remember, do you still remember 20 years ago, we used floppy disk, all right, floppy disk. So if, or in video, we use this VHS. So we capture all the information in a certain media, right? Now, 10 years, 20 years later, when you are no longer be able to buy a video VHS recorder, how are we going to play it? So we have all this data put in that version, that media there, and now we do not have the media to play back. So all this information is kind of lost. Well, it's not literally lost, but it stays in the media that we are no longer be able to open it. So we got a problem here. So this technical term, digital dark age, meaning that we cannot retrieve the information. Okay, so that prompts to a comment here. That's why the industry needs one open format that we can commonly share among the whole industry. It will not be affected by the versioning issue. It will not affected by the media issues. So 10 years, 20 years later, we'll still be able to get all this information as we saved. Okay, now.
Hello, David. Will you share your slides?
Oh, I'm not sharing my slide. Okay, okay.
Yeah, we would like to see your slides. Thank you.
Am I not sharing? Thought I, okay, hang on. You're looking at the slides, right? Any feedback? You're looking at.
Okay, okay.
Right. Okay. So these are the points that I shared. Okay. So digital dark age. Okay. So it comes to the conclusion that the industry must need an open format. Okay. Now, when we talk about the open format, so we will definitely come to a organization called Building Smart. Building Smart is an alliance of all these construction and facility management organizations. They try to standardize the process, workflow, and procedures for BIM. Okay, now we all know BIM now. Okay, but there are a lot of different forms, a lot of different information flow in the BIM process. So there comes the Building Smart saying that, okay, we must have a standard to standardize all these workflows so that everybody are talking in the same language, right? So Building Smart actually they facilitate with the key leaders with the use of these standards to enabling the civil structure and also the building assets data in the life cycle process, so that they can integrate into the this open BIM standard, improving the value, so that they can we can have a common language to share. Their vision to have a sustainable building industry. Okay, in simple terms. Now, of course, if you look at it from their web page, they have a lot more of their vision they can share with you. But since this is 101, I just picked some key points to share. Now, if you look back from the history point of view, The openBIM development, it is not it's not a new thing. Okay, so Building Smart is actually started to looking into this standardization since 1994. Okay, so the first issue of their publication is called the IFC in Industry Foundation Class version 1. Can be dated back to 1997. Okay, now without going into all this detail, on the the top side of this slide, you can see all these different versions being developed by the Building Smart. Now, currently, we are up to IFC version 4 at the moment. There's IFC version 5 already published as a part of it, but it's still being improved at the moment. Now, alongside with that, you can see there's also the blue international ISO standard, different standard that running in parallel. So this timeline here gives you a fairly rough understanding the openBIM development. Okay, in short, okay, it's been around for a long time. So it is time for us, the Hong Kong BIMers, to sit down and think what is the next step from our BIM development here. In terms of maturity, okay, now this is a slide coming from their web page. Now you can see that the IFC 1 and 2, which is the very first trial trying to standardize this whole process. When we are looking at IFC 4 at the moment, so it's still a kid's level, all right? It is not yet a fully grown adult. So we are stepping into IFC 5 at the moment, but there's still 6 and even an unknown IFC whatever version that will come along later on. So this is where we are, okay, on the openBIM development. Now, so what is openBIM then? There are a lot of software company around, and including Autodesk in terms of SolidBrick. Okay, all these big giant here are actually coming together, and they do realize that even though one supplier may be very good at one area, but they still need to come together and share the information. So when we're talking about openBIM, we are not talking about a particular platform or software. It is a global effort that they try to share with a common base, common knowledge. Okay, being a little bit academia, okay, what is openBIM? Basically, you see the highlight, it is a universal approach to the collaborative design. Okay, so the keyword here is collaboration. It's a collaborative design, realization, and operating of buildings based on an open standard and workflows. Collaboration in open standard workflow. So basically, it allows the different project team members to participate in the BIM regardless of the software tools they use. Now, this is very interesting. Now, I myself, by training, I'm an architect. I'm more concentrating on the design aspect. I may not be very familiar with what the FM people are using during the operation phase. Okay, but it is still we are a stakeholder on a whole project life cycle. Now, it is unfair to say that, okay, I have to learn every single piece of software. I can be expert in every single aspect. Now, nobody can do it. As an architect, I will be very comfortable with the design tools that I'm using. Now, the openBIM concept here is not asking people to learn every single piece of software they can excel into. Instead, they are saying that, okay, no matter what software tools you're using, by all means keep on using it. Keep on using that to perform you as a professional. However, there may be another aspect that you can actually share the project data. So it becomes a transparent and collaborative workflow. So you create a common language, right? So that to ensure that the project data can actually flow through every single aspect throughout the whole asset life cycle. So the openBIM allowed the BIM to doesn't matter which brand, which team member, which position you are in, so that all the stakeholder of the whole for the life cycle can collaborate with each other. Okay, the last point here, we may not be very familiar in the Hong Kong context. It means that smaller software vendors are able to actually compete with the larger vendors because we are no longer stick to a certain platform. That platform may be very closed circuit. That means you can see the functionality of the software, but when you want to change it, you find that you won't be able to change to have any customization because it's a closed system. However, the approach of the openBIM, it is to open up, they're all open source, so that whatever you want to do, if you have the capability of programming or understanding how the software put together, you may be able to actually change it and adopt to the way you want it to serve you. So just on the keywords, all right, the benefit of openBIM, it is transparent, it's open workflow, allows all the members to participate regardless of the software tools they use. Now, you may be very good at in Revit, you may be very good in Navisworks, you may be very good in ArchiCAD, right? Now, keep on using the software tools that you're using. It doesn't require you to learn another new piece of tools for your task. Secondly, common language. All right, doesn't matter which tools you use, as long as we can have a common language, then we can talk to each other. Number three, project data. Regardless of the tools that we're using, the most treasurable asset is the project data that we created during the whole life cycle. So in the design phase, we create the design data. And then the design data is passed on to the construction phase, which creates the construction data. And later on, it passes to the operation, and you have all this data for the operation use. And while with all this operation experience, it formed the information requirement for the client to apply to the next project. So it's the project data that's the most treasurable. Now, if you compare this project data with the digital dark age I just mentioned, all right, it's the flow of this project data, non-brand, non-proprietary system, that regardless of the time, okay, regardless of the media, we will still be able to get and extract all this project data for the project use. The fourth point here, I just mentioned, it allows the smaller software vendor to participate and to compete with the larger software house. So that the bigger the software house, it doesn't really mean that the best solution they can provide. Okay, it's only when the software is particularly resolving a particular issue, then it's the best solution for that participant. Now, the fifth point here, again, is kind of unfamiliar in the Hong Kong situation. We know how to use software to build up the BIM model, right? We understand the workflow in how BIM can bring forward. However, it's seldom in the Hong Kong situation applied onto the product level. The product meaning that a manufacturer, a supplier, actually produce a piece of light fitting, a piece of equipment. So how does that in industry, of manufacturing industry, make use of the BIM information so that they can help to produce the product, and that product itself can feed back into the BIM cycle and produce the information for the operation use. Now, when we talk about openBIM here, the openBIM is actually including this product level. okay, which is seldom be ignored in the Hong Kong BIM environment. Okay, we come to that later on when we talk about the different rooms we're in. Now, we understand all these benefits, but what are the challenges? Okay, I put a few bullet points here. Well, since this is only the first time of the whole openBIM series, what that means, we are not very familiar with the concept of openBIM. We may be very good at a certain particular software platform. We do not know other platform. The government, okay, specify a few platform there, but it is not the whole of the BIM. So the local support here, it is lacking still. So hopefully after the whole series of BIM here, then we have a more better understanding how we position ourselves in using the BIM technology. Okay, the next point here, which is very interesting, we have misaligned interpretation towards BIM. So towards the same object, for example, wall, okay, the way architects see a wall, what a wall is, can be totally different towards an engineer see a wall. So same object, different interpretations, how the BIM model should go. So the architect may build their column from bottom to the top, whereas the engineer may build it from level by level point of view. Same for the slab. Now, this different interpretation of the BIM model will lead to the different quality or different purpose of a BIM model. So without a understanding of all these, so the model sometimes may not be able to beneficial for all the stakeholder. Point number 3 here, when we talk about openBIM, it is not depending on a particular brand. So which software we are working on. So that means there will be a chance for us to actually grab the source, the open source, the source file. Then we have to write our own program. Maybe in that case, we are talking about the convergence of the building professional and the IT professional coming together. So how can the IT professional know about the need of our building professionals? So in that case, there will be a R&D requirement. However, this demand has not been fully experienced in the Hong Kong market at the moment. How many R&D, how many funding, how many companies are doing this R&D program writing for the building industry? Okay, not much. All right, now when we're now going into deeper understanding of openBIM concept, just before that, okay, let me clarify some of the misconceptions. Now, I just mentioned about the different formats that will get in touch in terms of the software. Somebody knows about Revit, somebody knows about ArchiCAD. Okay, but openBIM is not about conversion. Okay, it is a false expectation by saying that, okay, can I convert a Revit file and into an ArchiCAD format so that I can open up in the ArchiCAD, or I have a Tactile file, can I convert into an EcoSim file so that I can use the Bendy EcoSim to open that file? Now, the concept of conversion, it is not the real understanding of what openBIM is. When we talk about the common sense, we are not talking about how to convert a file from one format to another. Okay, please let me be clear on this. Okay, we are not talking about conversion here. Now, for the rest of the presentation, okay, this is the formula. This is the formula. openBIM, it consists of 3 things. All right, 3 things. One is a model, a 3D BIM model. Okay, I put in here IFC format, a model, IFC format. That's not enough. Okay, then we have that. We have the BIM model. That's not enough. And then we must have a common language. Okay, now here is called BSDD. BS stands for Building Smart. All right. The DD is a data dictionary. Apart from the 3D model, we must be having a common data dictionary. Okay, what does it mean? Take take a sample, all right? Now, how about a door? Okay, everybody know about a door, what a door is. Okay, a door should have door width, all right, door width. How do you name a door width? You name it door width or width of door. Someone would like to call it a door. Someone would like to call it door width. Someone will prefer use width of door. No, but they all refer to the same thing, all right? But if two people are refer to the same thing, but they're using different language, that means they cannot communicate, right? They cannot communicate. So that's a need to have a common data dictionary. So making sure that everybody is talking about the same thing. So this is the second part, data dictionary. And the third part is, when we talk about the BIM, it's not talking about model only. We're talking about the whole process. How the BIM model, how the BIM data can be utilized in every single process throughout the whole project life cycle or asset life cycle. All right. So only when these three things put together, and then we formulate this called an openBIM. Now, just remember this formula here. For the rest of the slides are all referring to this formula. Whether it's the BIM model, which is talking about the data dictionary, or talking about the process. And then we'll come up with more jargon in here. Now, if we want to put it in the three things together, when we talk about IFC, okay, the blue circle, IFC, there's ISO standard 16739, okay, talking about how the digital data should be in whatever requirement. Now, I think some of us may know about the ISO standard 19650. Okay, so it's getting more popular now. But when we talk about BIM, it is not just one standard, 19650. There are more standards, and actually more and more are coming. All right. So on the process, on the yellow circle in here, we are talking about the BIM process. How BIM is how the BIM process, the information delivered. And then we have another ISO standard 29481. All right. The methodology and the format how should be delivered. And in terms of technology side, the data dictionary, okay, in here the framework for the object-oriented information, ISO 12006. Again, okay, all these ISO standard, okay, is not familiar with us. However, when we talk about common BIM, so we must be talking about a common language, and that is all this standard that take prevalence. Okay, now out of that, there's a circle, a red a jargon here is called the MVD model view, taking from the information and taking out and to serve a certain purpose. Now I'll come to that MVD later on. All right, but you can see the relationship of all these three things now joining together, and we have new definitions. Okay, the most easiest one to understand is the third one is the BIM process, because we have been practicing that for the last 15 years in Hong Kong. So the BIM process, everybody understand this. So we have the requirement from the client. They needed to have database in the whole project life cycle, and then it comes along with the design consultants to respond to the client's need to use BIM to do the design, and then they need to get this object from the project library, and then they use the design offering tools to come up with the column BIM, window, things like that. We have the structure, column BIM, and we have the MEP, the ducts and pipes. Okay, we know all this. All right, we know all this. And we also know input information, the dimension, the material, the U value, the loading, and the flow rate. Okay, these kind of information that we need to input in the BIM. Okay, when you say BIM, this is the I side, the information side. All right, now we mentioned about the drawing production. From the BIM, we have the drawing production, whether it's legal GBV submission, the structure submission, or the tender drawings, the shop drawings. These are joint design production. Okay, again, we know about this. And then we also know about the coordinated disciplines. We have cache detection, we have the reporting, the QTO, the cost and the environment. Okay, again, we know this. We are practicing this already. Authority approval. Last year, we have the BD come along and have the guideline for the GBB submission, and then CIC having the template for the structural submission, the change submission, kernel submission. Okay, now again we know this is coming along. Construction, we build a construction model. We have the subcontractor models. Everything come together. We have all this clash. Okay, again we understand that. Product vendor best offer. Now this is again this is not familiar. So how when the contractor is actually buying the material from the market, how is that object, that equipment related to BIM? Okay, we are not very familiar with this. However, in the whole BIM ecology there, so the product, the actual physical product, is actually related to the design information, and then how can that product be used and read by the operation phase. They are actually part of the whole puzzle in here, the product side. Information to site, quality control, the construction CQMS. Now these again we know that. Facility manager using handheld devices for the repairs, for the operation management. Okay, I'm sure you heard about all this flow quite a lot in the BIM talk. Okay, so in short, we're quite familiar with all this BIM process. Now, if you remember the formula, the first one, IFC, all right? Now, we talk about standard. IFC is all about standards. We have the geometry part, we have the data part. Okay, now when they talk into the IFC format, so standardize them so that we can further develop the BIM application, be it Revit, Tekla, Navisworks. Those are the applications. Now we are familiar with all these BIM applications. However, we do not familiar with the front part, the IFC part. Okay, when we say IFC, I'll just mention those names, those jargons. IFC 1, 1.0, 1.5, okay, 2 times 3, 4, and 5. Now, these are the historical development, all right? So all this building information is shared by the one open format. Now, the different versions, 2 times 3, 4, and 5. If you look at the applications, the IFC now being specialized into IFC4 precast, okay? International IFC for site, for landscaping, for urban planning, IFC for airport, IFC for road, IFC for bridge. So these are the development from the IFC standard. Now it's not only a common standard, but also beginning to specialize in a certain areas in the IFC. Okay, so all this jargon you will start to touch on when you really look into the IFC standard. More jargons, right? More jargons. So when we talk about openBIM, it is a digital way to enable different stakeholders to work together, regardless of the platform they're using. Now you can see the two gentlemen here. The one on the left-hand side, he is thinking about using a BIM application I. Okay, he may be an architect or engineer, right? The gentleman on the right-hand side, he's using another BIM application, J. He can be a property owner, he can be a contractor. Now, we assume that, okay, I and J, they are two different platforms. Think about the real situation that we are having at the moment, okay? Now, we assume that well, it is a fact, or it's a fact that a certain brand of software are dominating the whole market at the moment. When the designer, when the design phase, when the consultant phase, and the FM phase, they're all using the same platform, using the same BIM application. there isn't a compatibility issues, right? Apart from the backward compatibility. So the data generated from the design phase can be used in the construction, can be used for operation. Imagine all of a sudden now you have a architect using a certain brand, the contractor using another brand. How can they communicate? How can they talk to each other? Do you need to regenerate everything again? Now, so you try to look at it from this perspective. Okay, it come up with 5 basics for sharing our thoughts. Okay, more jargons, right? IDM, IFC, BCF, BSDD, and MVD. Now, when you look at the openBIM, you will find yourself, you will get yourself into all these jargon. So that's a course 101. You need to have a rough idea, understanding on what these 5 jargon stands for. Okay. Now IDM is talking about the process, IFC is talking about the data structure. BCF is talking about coordinations between different parties. All right. BSDD is to define the terms and types of a particular object. Okay, the last one, MVD, talking about digital workflows. Now, I'll try to have an overview for each one of these. I know it's a lot of jargon. It's kind of boring, right? But we have to understand all these basic first. Okay, IDM, Information Delivery Manual. Okay, the definition of IDM is a methodology to capture and specify the process and information flow. We are talking about the process. What process? Process, we talk about the client, the design, the construction of this process, and the information flow through the whole thing. So this information delivery manual, if we can draw an analogy, okay, you look at the example below. The analogy is the IFC industry foundation class, like we establish a language, English or Chinese or French or German. Okay, it's a whole system of language. So that's an IFC. Okay, but when we want to do a building, when you do a certain purpose, like for example a statute submission, you without the whole language, you do not concern the construction language. For statute submission, I concern more about submission. I concern more about areas. I concern more about the functional use. Okay, how to construct it may not be my immediate concern. So from the whole language, IFC, you select a particular word or syntax that is relevant. That's relevant for a certain purpose, and that is the MVD. Okay, it's called the model view definition. You do not need to know every word in the whole language. You only need to know these few words in strategic submission, for example. Okay, now even though you pick up all these words, you still need to use the words to make a sentence, to make sense to other people, right? So not only single words, single jargon from the whole dictionary, you need to put them together into a speech to express yourself how you would like the things to go. You would like to other people to understand what you mean by using all these words. Now, so that is the IDM, the Information Delivery Manual. So you pick from the whole IFC language pool, what the keyword, you put them together, and what do you want to do? So that is IDM. So the objective of IDM is to define a standardized methodology for the existing or new process. So in order to assist all the different stakeholders in the task, all right, what to deliver. This IDM. Now, in this slide, it makes ourselves a little bit easier. So at the end of the day, how are we going to use this information? How you need to exchange this information? Now, we know these terms, exchange requirements, exchange information requirement. So in terms of a lot of tables, what format you're going to give me, and how can I read use all these comments, what sort of information you will be giving to me. So exchange of information. Now, so that is the IDM, information delivery manual. Okay. Next our jargon, the BCF. BCF stands for Building Collaboration Format, BCF. Now, we all of us know that we need to go through designs. Design, there will be different ideas. That will be trial, test cases. We talk about collaboration. We talk about you need to talk to the structural engineer. You need to talk to the building services engineer. In the construction phase, we need to talk to a lot of other people. To talk to the power company, talk to the subcontractor, talk to the manufacturer. Okay, a lot of these collaboration activities happening. So how can we gather all this information to express ourselves and talk to others? Now, what tools we are using? We'll be using what, red pens, right? We'll be using red pens on the plan. We mark up. We write down some of our comments, we scan the sheets, and we pass to another party. So that party may print it out and look at the red markup, and then, okay, you make a certain comment so that I can change my design to fit in your, to cater all these requirements, right? Now, we are using red pens. Your red pens, we're using paper, we are using cloud. This is what we are using at the moment, okay? Now, openBIM thinks, okay, this is not efficient. Who made a certain who has made the who has made this comment? Where did he make this comment? What are the comments? What sort of time frame? Okay, this comment need to be entertained. If you pass a certain time frame, there will be consequences. So instead of using a red pen, so what can we use? What are the tools we can use? So they create this BCF format. Okay, we're talking about basically a replacement of your red pen into a format so that every software, everybody can read that comment. So that comment can be shared among different platforms. In particular, they may bear the locational information, the author information. So who made this comment? On what date or what time he made this comment? Where is this comment made in the BIM model, in the BIM location? So by clicking on this location, the structural engineer can jump immediately into the location where the architect had made that comment, or the contractor can jump to that area and look at the comment. So you can imagine there will be a lot of red marks, a lot of written comments, and most importantly, the date, the time, the author, and the location. All right, the location is the key. So there will be 100 or 1,000 of similar cases everywhere in the project. Exactly this comment here, where was it made? Okay, so by means of this BCF format here, it is not associated with a particular software or platform. So every software can actually read it and you jump back to this location. Now that is the openBIM concept for collaboration here, the BCF format. Okay, so it can centralize all this coordination, communication, it tracks the issues, who has made a certain comment on a certain date, who is going to respond it. So we have the 3D viewer to see in its original context. Okay, and it can access to the information anywhere, anytime using a browser or different format. Okay, it can manage the access right, who can see a certain format, who cannot see a certain format. All right, so and also there will be, apart from the cloud or the comment that we made, sometimes you will want to attach a video, an image, a JPEG, or a crop, a snapshot of your approved drawing. Okay, so have the ability to attach your file to support the discussion. And lastly, they may have dashboards to outline who the performance, the KPI of a certain parties, and how many comments someone has made, and what is the responding time towards those comments, and how many comments has been entertained out of the totality of the comment. Now, all this information can be performed as a result of using a BCF format. Now, coming to the difficult part, the model view definition, right? MVD. Because we want to have a specific use, GBP, for example. Okay, I just mentioned GBP, the General Building Plan Submission. So the task is very, very definite. All right. So the task is very definite. So the GBP submission needs what? We need to have the functional use. We need to have the area. Okay, functional use and area, for example. Out of all of this information in the BIM model, so how can we find the functional use and also the area, picking from the whole database, and then we can further develop on this functional use and area, so that we can devise a system, an automated system, to help us to do an automated GPP submission, for example. I'll show you a case later on. Okay, Kobe here, for example, we would like to have the product information, we have the location information, so to serve the operation phase. We do not need every single information from that the BIM model contains. Okay, so it's very, very particular data requirement. So we have this term called the MVD, model view definition, coming out from the whole IFC structure. Now it comes to another session here on the standard libraries. We have all the standards. Of course, we have a lot of objects, all right? A door, as you mentioned, a door will be used in project 1, in project 2, project 3. Every single project will have door. So, but a door can be supplied by manufacturer A, manufacturer B, manufacturer C. They have the product information. So in terms of resources, so if we can have a resource library which is contain a standardized object database and product, if everybody in the industry follow the same standard, that means regardless of you are manufacturer A or B or C, all the naming of the database, they are the same. All the properties are the same. I use the door width as an example, right? So every manufacturer is called a door width, not width of door. So they are having the same language, right? So that all these entities, the properties, classifications, they all same. They can all share the same library of objects and the attributes. So now all the software understand the terminology. Now this is the BSDD part, okay, the data dictionary part. So it helps where to find the building products. It helps the manufacturer to sell their building product. Again, in Hong Kong, we seldom touch on the product side of the BIM, okay? But in the whole ecology, product is the actual physical thing that fulfill the client's requirement, and it bridge to the operational requirement. That object, if that object fail after 10 years, how can we replace the same functionality, same object information to replace the damaged object? All right. So in here, BIM actually reach out to the manufacturing sector. Okay. Only when we have the common standard BSDD, the data dictionary, then we can fulfill that. Now, after you understanding all these 5 jargons, all right, these are jargons. In Hong Kong, for the last 15 years, we may not get encounter with all these jargons. However, we know the applications, all right? We know how BIM can be used. Now, when we talking about this open standard there, we have to talk about this application. How this open standard be fit into those applications. Now, building smart rooms, okay? So I'll show you in a minute. So in building smart, they are subdividing their expertise into different rooms. So the rooms are open groups of specialists. They work together to improve the building environment through the development of open source solutions and standards. So whatever rooms. Now, all these rooms focus on a specific domain. I'll show you later on, and they're all open to all professionals. You're welcome to join those rooms, and the rooms may initiate standard projects. Okay, some of the rooms are new. Some of them have a longer history. For example, the rooms about the building. So that's long. I think there's the longest history there. But there's a room about railway. The railway is the youngest one, and there's some unborn rooms. Last year they're talking about power station rooms. Okay, it's not officially been born yet, but this is the direction. So with the different objectives, so they can initiate a standard projects to realize all these so that they can understand the nature and the scales of the problems when they try to address it. And lastly is the standard process requirement. All right, all this application with all this jargon, all these definitions, how can that process can be standardized so that we can work in a very efficient way. Now, this slides here, you can on the left hand side you can see there are 8 rooms at the moment. They're called the building rooms, concerning about buildings, infrastructures on the CFO, the product rooms about the material that been produced by the manufacturer. Okay, technical rooms is really technical. Okay. Basically, it's talking about how to write software, how to write a particular software that can solve a certain particular problem. Regulatory is talking about the government side. Construction, the construction process. Airports, very specific, right? Railway, very specific. Now, all these rooms, they have to go through the certain initiation process, development process, approval process. They have to gone through the certain standard committees to get approved, loop many rounds so that the whole process can be streamlined. At the end of the day, they come to the right-hand side. Now they form the standard committees. They can vote, and that becomes the standard in the building smart system. All right. So if anyone who is interested in a particular room, you are more than welcome to join. Now, all these rooms. Now, when I say building smart, I'm referring to the Building Smart International. It is an organization that composed of many local chapters from all over the world. Now, Ada, I'm sure Ada will be very pleased to tell you that we have the Hong Kong chapter last year, right? We were accepted by the Building Smart International and established our Hong Kong chapter. That's why we are sitting here having this series of openBIM seminars, because of this. We are the Hong Kong chapter. All right. I just mentioned about these 8 rooms at the moment, but there's a 9th and 10th rooms that's keep on coming. Okay, now I just pick up a few examples to let you get some feel about these different rooms, what they are doing. Okay, now you see that this technical rooms is really technical. They're talking about programming. Okay, how to write a certain program. You see. How to call it the IFC building element component and element type. You must fulfill a certain syntax before the program can work. Okay, I do not understand all these, right? Okay, so this is really technical. I actually sit in that room there for the whole room. I couldn't understand a thing, unfortunately. But that's needed because we are talking about open standard. Standards are just a framework. How can we make use of the framework to help ourselves? Okay, I'll show you in several examples later on. Now, this product rooms, for example, talking about products, right? So we know about the 5B BIM. We're talking about the quantity take off of course, the quantity take off the QTO is to facilitate the QS. But what about the manufacturer? Now we know the number of the quantity of a certain object from the BIM model. How can that information be utilized by a manufacturer? Okay, how can they facilitate the quotation of those objects? All right. So to the right hand side, for example, the QR code, the barcode, all these 1D or 2D QR code, right? So they are related to the information embedded with that product. And those information, why can't those information be taken from the BIM information? All right. Now, again, in Hong Kong, we seldom thought about this, but in openBIM concept, GS1 is a good example. They try to standardize this barcode, this QR code, actually drawing the information from the BIM information. Now, with this barcode and QR code, they're actually going to facilitate facility management, so that when we scan it from the QR code, we can get the information from the BIM information rather than you retype it again. All right, so you can understand it is the whole is part of puzzle in here for the products as well. So, two more points on what Building Smart is doing. Also in terms of certifications. Now, certification comes in two parts. The first part is certification on softwares. I have just put a few names here that we may familiar with: the Benny EcoSim, the Allplan, ArchiCAD, Revit, Tekla, Vectorworks. Now, these are the software. So these software are being certified by Building Smart. So what part of are being certified? Now, we all know that different software have different functions, right? Building Smart does not certify the functionality. However, they certify the format, the export and import format as IFC. So IFC comes from different versions. IFC comes from the source of file comes from different software. Now, from that software, when they export it into a IFC format, are the names, are the property set conforming to the IFC standard. If they do, so they give the certification. If they don't, they need to improve until they comply. On the other hand, a software can have an importing function. When they import certain thing from the IFC file, can all these IFC properties be input into that software? So Building Smart are doing this software certifications and only on the importing and exporting to a certain version. Recently, they have schemes to certify professionals. So they are organizing learning organizations to educate those BIM concepts. Okay, now I think Ada or Felix will have some idea. So Hong Kong chapter, can Hong Kong chapter be an organization to actually educate the professional here to have openBIM concept? Now, all these 4 series, okay, I'm not sure how they can map the syllabus of these certifications. I'm sure some of the content we deliver to today will become part of it. Now, so the Building Smart will certify the learning organization. At the same time, they have the learning organization to certify the individuals. So you may bear a title of certified professional by Building Smart. Okay, I know CIC is doing certifications, the CCBM, and I know certain institutes like Hong Kong IA, they are certifying the architect to have a BIM capability. Now, that in this case here, the Building Smart is talking about the global certifications. Okay, now the last bit of my presentation here, I will present you several cases, 3 cases. Okay, how all these principles are being adopted, being used in a more mundane, more day-to-day approach. Now, all the jargons that we learn. These are the basic understanding, the basic framework of this openBIM. All right. Now, the first case I want to share with you is on the IFC viewer. Now, I'm going to show you a very short video. Now, we all know we all are using certain brand of a software, right? Now, in this case, on the screen I'm showing here, this is Revit, of course, right? Now, Revit is a closed system. You cannot change this command. You cannot ask Revit to do more than its original capability. However, when we talk about openBIM, it is open source. So if you have the programming capability, for example, you can actually have your own program. You can do your own thing. So you can read the data from the IFC format and then program it to whatever you want to do. I'm going to show you here next is only on a viewer. It is not on a software level. It's just a viewer level. Now, on the screen here, I have a Revit version, and I can export it to a IFC format. As I mentioned on the previous slide, Revit has been certified to be IFC compliant. Okay, I'll show you. Now, this video here, it is only a viewer. The viewer, what the model here, it is not the original Revit model. You can see that, you can see the trees, you can see the elements. Now you can see the blue information here. There may be columns, there may be walls, there may be windows. But it looks familiar. It looks familiar, but it is not exactly the same as the Revit, right? Say you can see that they have this IFC terminology. Now to the right-hand side, you can see that the object actually consists of the information. So you can see the characteristic. You have the data. You have the parameter placement, geometry. All these, right? These are the standardized IFC information coming from your model. So the original Revit model is no longer the same. Now, because all these names, as I said, this is the BSDD, right? The BSDD, the terminology, the language. Since all these languages are standardized, they're no longer closed. That means the programmers can actually get from all this terminology, can write into their own program to solve a certain problem. Now, you can download this viewer free from the internet. Okay, I just downloaded it. Okay, you can turn into outline, you can turn into different color, you can hide certain things, you can view certain things. Now, these are the capability for this open source viewer. You can do whatever you want. Okay, so in terms of capability, now you are no longer into a closed Revit environment, but we are exposing ourselves to this major capability now. Okay, now case 2. I have 3 cases to show you very quickly. Now, the title in here is called statutory approval in ... 1 second. I don't know whether you know the existing situation in Hong Kong here. Okay, being an architect myself, we have a design, we need to have the government to have it approved. Okay, Hong Kong, for the first time we got a general building plan approved, it takes 60 days. 60 days. All right. Can it be faster? Well, yes or no. Okay, but however, our practice, it costs us 60 days to get it approved. Now, this is the case I see it last year in the regulatory room. Okay, I was in Germany last year to attend this regulatory room. Very interestingly, this regulatory room is talking about the submission process. Okay, you look at the yellow road in here. So they come up with this MVD, model view definition, right? what do they want to do? They wanted to have a approval. Okay, how to develop a system that facilitate the designer to come up with a design, and at the end of the day, the system can approve the design. So they come up with all these tasks, small tasks. Okay, list out in here: development and communicate, BIM strategy, and engage the government and whatever. Okay, then with all this MDV, they try to come up to establish a system. Now, when I say come up with a system, that is a very technical term. That means that involves the software writing, the programming, right? So you can see this with all these concepts from the concept design, construction, with all these e-signature, that this is a building approval process. We have the master plan submission process, approval process. We have the GPP approval process. We also have the construction approval process. Now, with all these, so this is a real pilot case. It happened in Italy, all right? So they established the e-submission form. So they have the initiation of BIM to paperless process, and they established a guideline, steps, mandatory e-submission. All right. Now, because of time, I'm quickly showing you all these slides. Now,
please be reminded it's already 7.
All right. Okay. I'll do a very quick. Yeah. Now, without going into very much details in here, so okay, I'm showing you the product, right? This is a web page that designer can actually log in, submit their BIM model. Okay, select the project. It is in Italian, all right? Okay, so the users provide the legal document in a digital way. To fill in the forms, so these are PDF forms. So the system automatically extract the information from the PDF. Now submit the model. Okay, the building code. Now they try to compare the different country building codes. They find out, of course, they're different everywhere, but the principle are pretty much the same. All right, now you can see these terms: IDM, MVD. Okay, with all these set up, these steps by steps, they use the IFC submission. It doesn't matter what the designer are using. Okay, so they confirm the IFC, but direct use of IFC is not good enough to fulfill the approval process. So they will have some tools, the BIM tools, to modify the IFC. So they form a new IFC. Okay. Now, in here, all these plans, they are generated by the system. Now, there isn't a system, mature products in the market that's specifically doing this submission. You can see that these productional drawings, it is not done by the designer itself, it's done by the system. So what system? It is the IFC system. They have the programmers that make use of the information to actually produce all these drawings. Now, this is from the submission side. Very quickly, that's from the government side. They log in, look at the PDF, look at the model. So this is the model viewer. Okay, look at the automatically generated plan, automatically generated area. Double check on the laws and regulations. Okay, rules. Produce all these drawings. Now, these drawings different for every project, but the system is the same. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, they draw out this information, the area, the meter square. So everything streamlined at the end of the day. So that project can be built. So the topic for this presentation here, it is building approval in 1 second. Okay, the whole process is just in 1 second, versus we have 60 days in Hong Kong. All right, so basically using open format to facilitate automatic check, manual check, standard drawing production, IFC model for viewing. Okay, now this is an Italy sample. It has never happened in Hong Kong, not yet. All right. Very quickly, in case 3. Case 3, this is my last case in here. It's talking about Italy, the railway project. Now, for railways, there wasn't any particular software that helps the industry to design railways. Okay, there wasn't such a thing. So we use, for example, Revit or ArchiCAD or whatever, use a building software to build a railway. So it has some sort of limitations. Okay, what I'm going to show you here in a 3 minutes. Now, this is a video that is being presented in the Building Smart International. Okay, look at the interface in here. They are using the programmers to devise a new piece of software to resolve the issue on the design and railways. So railways have its own specialties. The ballast, the slipper, and all these different elements there. Okay. Now you can see that, of course, they are parametric. They follow a certain curvature or gradient or specification of loading or whatever. Now these are the specific requirements. You look at the library on the right-hand side. Okay, IFC column pole. Now these are standard libraries. The actual application may vary in height, varies in interval. All these variations. Instead of using a generalized BIM software, this is a specified BIM software that has been developed under the IFC requirement. So with just a few hours, you can see the result. Okay, the railway is there, the wire, even the train. Okay, very quickly you can see that. Even with the presentation, okay, very quickly. Okay, the laser scanning, the survey into this. Now we can export to the IFC for other use. So for the product rooms, for the product as well. Okay, sorry, just press monkey. Okay, now with all this information, because they are using the same database, the same terminology, right? Rendering. So this is not a max render or whatever, it's their own development, the railway rendering engine. Okay, VR, train the driver, the train drivers. Okay, the real-time rendering. Now you can see that all these applications, it now becomes a tool that can help the railway professional, right, to do their job, the design job, the presentation job, the procurement job, the training job. Okay. Now you can imagine there wasn't a software like this before, but by means of IFC, okay, so this particular railway room here facilitate the whole process. Okay, because of time, I'm not going to play every single second for you then, just the VR. Now, in short, okay, let me just close the presentation. All right, so basically, what I just presented today is the fundamental, okay? You look at the technical rooms, a lot of jargon, a lot of programming techniques that we do not know. But if you compare what we have know about BIM in the past 10 or 15 years. Now, the openBIM concept opened us to another horizon that we try to collaborate among different stakeholders.
David， 唔好意思，唔知係咪個畫面好似停咗一停，同埋都夠鐘啊，差唔多。
我夠鐘啦，我講完㗎啦。
OK。
All right, so basically, this concludes my presentation here for today. Okay, now let me pass.
Okay, thank you very much, David, for your sharing.
Thank
We
you.
have learned a lot from you tonight. And now, before we move to Q&A section, let us welcome President of Hong Kong BIM, Architect Ada Fong, to give us a welcome address. Thank you, Ada.
但 Ada 好似 maybe Ada is gone.
Oh, okay. Maybe before to Ada's section, David, let us talk about some of the questions we received in the Q&A part. So first of all, some attendees would like to have a copy of your presentation. So for this part, we can. Maybe someone can you. So we will share the video after this section. So please watch the replay again at our YouTube channel. Okay. And also, if you would like to collect the CPD certificate, we will have a QR code to show at the end of this section. Okay, so please wait until the end, and you can scan the QR code, and then you can get the CPD certificate. But please allow us. We may need to take about 2 to 3 days to send it to you. And also, talk about BCF, David, that you have mentioned. Can you clarify, is BCF should be BIM collaboration format?
BIM collaboration format, yes.
Okay, BIM collaboration format. Okay, and also you have mentioned about the IFC realm room. So is it IFC realm room is a closed group, right? But you can join. However, the rooms are not open to everyone. Is that correct?
Well, put it this way. Okay, now Building Smart have this rooms, and they have an annual meeting twice in a year. Okay, once in Europe, once in Asia. They try to have the different cities. Now they are open up for the different stakeholders to actually to participate. Of course, you need to provide your own travel and accommodation. Yes, you can join them and participate in those rooms. Now, however, if you are really a stakeholder, instead of just listening to what's been presented, you can actually actively participate in setting up the, helping them to set up the standard as well. So this is more than welcome. And Hong Kong BIM here is actually become a bridge. We are having this Hong Kong chapter. Then we welcome all the stakeholders to join us, and then we can bridge up to the international Building Smart.
Okay, thank you. And also, will there be more training sections coming up? I think that is yes, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so now let us invite Ada, our president, Ada, to share with us your presentation today.
Thanks, Wendy. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. May I extend another round of warm welcome and appreciation to all of you to join our webinar this evening. This is our second webinar and our first webinar on openBIM. I hope you enjoy this with David's presentation on openBIM 101. Our first webinar was held on 16th April, marking the opening of our training center of Hong Kong Alliance of Built Asset Environment Information Management Associations, come Hong Kong chapter of Building Smart International. And at that time, we have featured Professor Dr. Calvin Kam, who shared with us an overview about 20 years of his experience in openBIM. And for those of you who have attended last time's lecture but have not got your CPDs, our Vice President, Francis Leung, can be accessed to help you. And he has already put our video recording on our YouTube channel, Habema's YouTube channel, and then you can find the YouTube for viewing. And we realized that more than half or 70% of those attending this seminar have not attended our first lecture. And so I will quickly take you through our organization. The Alliance is founded by 3 associations, namely HKGISA, HKIC BIM, HKI BIM, and these are specialists in the in information management for built asset and environment in industries in Hong Kong. The term built asset includes all types of man-made assets in the built environment. The term environment includes man-made environment and natural environment on planet Earth. In short, we embraces everything on Earth. And the board of directors comprises 7 members coming from these 3 founding members. And we uphold the vision of building smart to enable full benefits from digital ways of working and the built assets industry. And we uphold our vision of the Alliance to foster societal collaboration for smarter information management across built asset and environment. And our missions comprises 3 levels, as shown here. At the industry level, connect information management communities across built asset and environment industries. At society level, we serve society by building capacity, sharing experience, and enabling information exchange. And at the global level, drive digital transformation in line with global development. And how to get there for Building Smart International? It's a very short journey. We started around mid last year and get there by October 2019. And then we got accredited as the 21st chapter of Building Smart International on 29th October 2019, when they have their International Summit in Beijing. And then our inauguration ceremony was held on 20th November, officiated by Mr. K.S. Wong, Secretary for Environment, and Ms. Annie Choi, Permanent Secretary for Innovation and Technology. And as David has mentioned, Building Smart has a number of rooms. By the way, Building Smart is a registered trademark in Hong Kong. And we have a lot of activities in these rooms to align various organizations in advocating the use of openBIM. Current rooms are shown here, also mentioned by David. And we all participate in Building Smart activities together with our members with a global vision to achieving sustainability, and also alongside Construction 2.0, Smart City 3.0, Industrialization 4.0, and we also aspire to Society 5.0 advocated by Japan, whereby there would be an integration of cyberspace and physical space for society's benefits. And we ought to have launched a program of activities had it not been for coronavirus, that we have to go to a virtual platform for training. A program for training begins today, you can say, or started our opening of a center on 16th April, and this is our first lecture. So we start from BIM to openBIM, from informal to formal. And Mr. Felix Chan is chairman of our training center, who is the mastermind of all these programs. We said, 千里之行始於足下. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with a very small step. And today, perhaps this openBIM 101 is a small step, but it is a very important step in our journey. So you may ask, what's coming up next? Well, we have a series of 4 lectures coming up. First is Davis, openBIM 101 today. The second is the global trend of openBIM development, global and local openBIM cases sharing by Mr. Tony Leung. The third is Dr. Jack Chang's lecture on openBIM over full life cycle. And the fourth one is Mr. Kevin Wong's Mastering Knowledge and Tools for openBIM. So let's work together. You can join us if you're corporations, societies, or education institutions. And join us if you believe in openBIM, innovation for better built asset and environment, and integrating BIM, GIS, and other information management systems. Thank you.
Thank you, Ada. And we have just received 2 more questions. One is about, as a building material supplier, what's the platform that he should look at? Can David answer?
Sorry, I cannot get your question. Can you say again?
Okay. As a building material supplier, what's the platform that he should look at?
Oh, as a building, so okay. Now, there there isn't a formal platform yet in Hong Kong in the supply side related to the BIM, I think. Now, however, there's a company called GS1. I think that Hong Kong also has GS1 in Hong Kong here. They are trying to establish a product standard, making use of BIM information so that they actually encode it into the product QR code. Okay. And last time I was in Germany, I talked to them. They are having a system that every single product will have a unique code. Okay, that unique code will be is linked to the BIM, so that the product is generated from the factory, stick with that code, and that code will be used for the further down the track for the management side. So this is a very rough idea because we do not have too much information on this. But I said that's the only contact we have here is a GS1 who's working on this platform.
Okay, and also, can we have your contacts for further information, David?
Oh yes, maybe how can I disclose? Yeah, maybe we can send out my email and later on attach to the video or from the HKI Hong Kong BIM webpage. Yes.
Okay, and Francis, do you have any comments or any words?
Yes. So the CPD cert, you can see the link for the CPD cert on the chat. And also on this screen, the QR code is the request for CPD cert. So just fill in the form with your ticket number, and then we will send out the CPD cert within 1 week. Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. So have a good evening, and we look forward to seeing everyone in our next training section. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.